Hidari is one of the most interesting Shinju in all of Boruto, but his early showings of inadequacy in his defeat against Sarada in Boruto has made a lot of people forget just how dangerous he can be if not taken care of with urgency. Today I'm going to try and analyze Hidari's character and talk about his immense hidden evolution potential, because it's much more to it than you all think. I'm really excited to get into this one, but before I do, I just want to kindly ask you all if you could leave a like on the video, as it not only helps the video perform much better in the YouTube algorithm, but it also helps us grow as a community. Let's try and target 500 likes if that's possible. If we can get that, I will try my hardest to pop up a stream for y'all when chapter 25 releases. But anyway, enjoy the video, fellas. So when we look at Hidari's character, it's not much you can say other than he's just a clone of one of the strongest characters in the series. But looking a bit closer, there is some mystery to him that's worth taking a closer look at. Hidari's first impression was something to behold, going toe to toe with Boruto and cancelling out his Rasengan, albeit the act itself wasn't anything special, but for us it was something to behold. Before this, Boruto just destroyed Code one-on-one with little to no difficulty at all, a foe greater than Jigen, at least in terms of raw power. So at this point in the story, nobody's shown the ability to contend with him. Hidari getting this reaction out of Boruto was an indication that he's more than what meets the eye. When he infiltrated Konoha with Jura, his character became more involved in the story, and we got a glimpse of how quote-unquote developed he was compared to the other Shinju. And we found out he was a little bit slower than the other ones. It wasn't by much, but this panel right here, along with the rest of his interactions with random shinobi around Konoha, was the story telling us where Hidari was in his state of evolution. Chapter 4 was one of the best chapters in terms of displaying the personality of the different Shinju and allowing us to get an idea of how they'll interact with the main characters. And remember, the Shinju aren't equal in terms of intelligence. Some are more intelligent than others, and it really doesn't have to do with age at all. Ryu was born a little later than the rest of the Shinju, but shows intelligence such as battle IQ surpassing that of Hidari, battle IQ being a form of intelligence. Besides Jura, the one who seemed to have the most intelligence out of the group would be Matsuri. Even Momoshi shown to be a bit more developed than Hidari at first. So from day one, the story shows us that Hidari is not like the other Shinju at all. But I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing, because Hidari has something that the others lacked that will take him to the next level, and that's his intense yearn for identity and information. All of the Shinju want information, thus the reason they have targets in the first place, but obviously you can see the thirst for such knowledge isn't the same, just like their intelligence levels aren't the same. IKEMOTO confirmed that Jura keeps a personal notebook with him that he records all his daily discoveries and interests. So that's something that should show you right there that they are not equal in terms of curiosity. So at that point, I think it's safe to say that besides Jura, the one who's shown the most concern of himself and the world around him is Hidari. Hence the whole reason he accompanied Jura to Konoha, to discover who, or to be more accurate, what he is. This was a trend that was present in him ever since he was born, by the way. He always been interested in his true identity and the origins behind his birth. And for most of his current information, he asks Jura. The highlight of Hidari's life so far wasn't even his battle against Boruto and Sarada. It was his first interaction with Sarada. It was a display of his latent abilities and his own character. When Hidari first seen Sarada, his first thought was to strike her with Ichidori. And so far, when comparing every Shinju coming into contact with their target, I gotta say Hidari's was the most straightforward I think I've seen. And it directly shows how far Hidari is along his evolution process than everyone else. I think I have mentioned this before, but the way the Shinju get stronger isn't by unnecessary power amps or anything. Of course, they don't train, they don't absorb or consume anything like OTSUTSUKI. They simply gain intelligence. Becoming more human-like is how they gain power. But they'll always be different than humans because of their instinctual drive pushing them. But as far as their evolution, it's everlasting. Since the moment they were born up until now, they have always kept evolving. but they still required their target to reach that potential regarding their evolution. At this point in the story, we don't know exactly what happens to a Shinju once they devour their target, but one thing is for certain, they're looking for information, and devouring their target is key in making that happen. I mean, there's actually a lot of possibilities. They could undergo a transformation of sorts, or something even worse, like the creation of a personalized chakra fruit. It could offer an extreme power boost for them as well. But everything would be through evolving into a better, more refined version of themselves. I came to the conclusion that to know how far a Shinju is into the evolution process, we have to look at their reactions to coming into contact with their targets, because that's when their instinctual drive is at its strongest. So looking at Matsuri, because I guess she's the most recent Shinju to be kinda exposed, I guess. We seen when she came face to face with Konohamaru. What was her reaction? It was very unusual, especially when in comparison to Hidari and Jura. When Jura spoke about the potential side effects of gaining intelligence, he mentioned love along with reasoning as the two weaknesses. It's because of Jura's combination of experience, knowledge, and research that he knows about these side effects. He said reasoning isn't much of a problem since they stay true to their instincts, but the one that's gonna cause even the Shinju problems is love, because it causes irrational thinking and could be the difference between life and death in a battle. This is the main reason why someone as strong as Matsuri was defeated so easily. She never reached her true potential because she couldn't conquer love. Each Shinju has to go through this during their evolution process. It's just a matter of if they can conquer it or not. Matsuri obviously could not. She didn't understand what this feeling was. All she knew is that it hindered her ability to function properly, and that at that moment, it was a weakness to her, in which caused her to be defeated. But unlike Hidari, who's not even evolved to the level to feel an emotion such as love, he cannot be defeated using this tactic. Jura also can't be defeated this way, but it's not in the same way as Hidari. You see, the reason Hidari attacked Sarada right away was because he's not evolved to the point to where he can feel these emotions, which is why in his case, his lack of evolution became a strength. The only thing he was listening to was the instinct to devour Sarada. Now, what's so unique about Jura is that unlike Matsuri, I don't think Jura can feel the same level of love as her. I think that's something only unique to her. But Jura's overwhelming sense of reasoning mixed with his strong instinctual drive is what kept him going after his goal of devouring Himawari. I say this because looking at their interaction, it wasn't like Hidari's at all. There was a sense of self-control within him. This is the reasoning aspect coming into play. Remember, reasoning might cause a Shinju to ask questions or talk about something that's concerning them, but it'll never cause them to not devour their target because they always stay true to their instincts. This is why Jura was questioning the actions of Team 10, why was they trying to save Himawari, even to give up their lives knowing they had no chance of winning. Actions like that are eyebrow raisers for Jura, who's genuinely interested in the behavior of humans. Since their sense of reasoning differs from Jura, I see why he wanted to stop and think about it. He even stopped to feel out the different feelings and emotions he was going through throughout the fight. By definition, reasoning is the action of thinking about something in a logical, sensible way. And reason is to think, understand, and form judgments by a process of logic. This is all Jura was doing throughout not only this battle, but all his major battles up to this point, which is why his act of instinct was way different from Hidari's. Now, back to Hidari. During his interaction with Sarada, he talks about her Sharingan, stating that Jura told him about them, and he was also able to come to the conclusion that those eyes are needed to control and fully master the Chidori. So it may have just flown over a lot of people's heads, but at this moment, Hidari has shown growth at a crazy rate. To sit back and deduce that in order for this technique to work, he would need to first acquire the same eyes as Sarada is a great showing of reasoning. He was able to control his strong drive to the point where he can use reasoning to come to this conclusion. And this is how Shinju gets stronger, by gaining intelligence just like this. Although this was greatly assisted by Jura, because he was the one who told him about the Sharingan in the first place, but it's still a very good showing of growth from Hidari in such a short amount of time. Now, when we talk about Hidari's most crucial mistake in battle, it's simple. It was his overly aggressive instinctual drive, which caused even the likes of Sumire to figure out that he was clearly targeting Sarada, which I will remind you all is a form of reasoning, to make logical decisions based on his situational awareness. Like I said, Hidari has shown great growth up until this point, but he still has great weaknesses as well, and this is one of them. And this one in particular would prove to be his downfall, because it was this reason why Boruto was able to defeat him so easily. He didn't see Boruto as a threat that needed to be dealt with first in order to devour Sarada. Instead, during very crucial points in the fight, he focused on Sarada more than Boruto. And because of that, he got his whole torso blown off by a Rasengan and got set up to be hit by the Uzuhiko. Unlike Jura, who took one good look at Boruto's fighting ability and his knowledge on the Shinju and decided that he needed to die ASAP. So as you can see, the more evolved you are, the more likely you are to survive longer. The reason for Hidari and Matsuri's defeat was the lack of evolution, or the lack of understanding said evolution. In Matsuri's case, her lack of reasoning and understanding behind her emotions became her downfall. And Hidari not only didn't understand himself and his own power, but he lacked the evolution period. So now that Hidari is back from the dead thanks to Jura, he has the chance to evolve stronger even beyond than when he fought Boruto. And the simple fact that he's back could mean something. The fact that Jura bothered to even recover Hidari's Thorn Soul. Konohamaru even said that erasing Boruto is a higher priority to them than retrieving their companion's Thorn Bulbs. But yet, Jura retreated because of the possibility that Hidari's Thorn Bulb would rot, therefore leaving Boruto alive. If he's seen killing Boruto as a higher priority, then he would for sure stay to finish the job regardless of what happens to Hidari. It could be nothing, but then again, it could just show us how highly Jura thinks of Hidari in comparison with the rest of the Shinju. I honestly think that might be the case. Looking at Hidari now, he definitely has the opportunity to grow the strongest, based off his skill set, evolution potential, and him just being a clone of Sasuke. The reason Jura told Hidari about the Sharingan is because he knows his moveset is heavily dependent on the Sharingan. With it, he'll be more accurate with Hidari, first and foremost, and using that along with the movement that the claw marks provides its user would be among the most broken in the series. Then there's still the question about Susanoo, another technique that would require Sharingan, but Mangekyo Sharingan to be more specific. During Sarada and Hidari's potential rematch, he will try and target Sarada's MS. Granted, he's shown interest in her eyes before, so seeing her power now and more evolved would only heighten that curiosity. I don't think he will be able to get her Sharingan, but it would be interesting seeing him attempt to. But those are some of the things I can see him doing to obtain more power. There's plenty of ways Hidari could reach his potential, and it all has to do with him having a better understanding of himself, especially who he is and who is Sasuke. And once he understands that, his character will either take two major turns. He'll either gain immeasurable amounts of intelligence that'll only make him considerably stronger, or he'll also be consumed by love and use this newfound intelligence to turn against Jura to protect Sarada or just Konoha as a whole. That's what I think lies in Hidari's future. But as of right now, he's the most dangerous Shinju, capable of becoming the strongest besides Jura if not properly handled. If you agree or disagree, I would love to hear your reasoning in the comment section below. So, without further ado, I think this is where I'm gonna end it. If you enjoyed this video and wouldn't mind seeing more like this in the near future, why not leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on noties so you know when I upload or go live for chapter spoilers. And until my next one, I'll see you boys and girls later. And I'm out. Peace.